My name is Ashley and I work as a public historian in the environmental field, writing Phase 1 environmental site assessments for private and local bankers, real estate agents, and different developers across the country. A Phase 1 environmental site assessment basically looks at the historic usage of a property to determine if there's any environmental concerns. Maybe it was a gas station 50 years ago that nobody knows about. Maybe it was a dry cleaner that dumps stuff out back that nobody knows about. So my clientele specifically wants to know if there's any concern before they buy this piece of property or loan on it to assess, fully what their risk is going to be with a property without knowing anything about it. And me as the historian goes in there and tells them this property was used as a farm and then it was used as a gas station. So you should be okay because their storage tanks aren't in the ground anymore. And that's what I tell them in my report at the end of the day. Typically, in working with the Phase 1 environmental site assessments, I have to use various historic resources such as Sanborn maps, city directories, aerial photographs, personal interviews, which is a skill set that I learned as a trained historian there in college. I also have to look at various environmental databases and couple all of these resources together to formulate one technical report that is about anywhere from 30 to 50 pages long for our clientele, just so they will know what the usage of the property was back to 1940 or its earliest development, which there's a Phase 1 standard that tells us we have to go back that far. And in doing so, we let our clients know what their environmental risks are for the property and if they should decide to do further testing on site, such as soil or groundwater sampling, or if it's just a great piece of property that's free and clean. With every Phase 1, there's also a site inspection that you have to conduct, and that entails traveling to the site. It could be anywhere in the nation at some point, and you have to deal with various types of properties. It could be a gas station that's active, it could be a vacant building, it could be a parking lot, it could be different types of businesses all in one that you have to inspect each building. It could be a number of different types of properties that you have to inspect. So you have to be ready for that, and you have to be very detail oriented and know what you're going into when you do such inspections. For the inspection, I walk around the property, walk around the exterior perimeters. I note various types of, if there's gas tanks on site, if there are hazardous waste materials on site, I have to note those. I go inside the buildings, I walk around, I look at construction elements of the buildings, I look and see what is handled inside the building, what type of occupant is there is a big factor in that, and the type of questions that I need to ask. I note everything that goes on inside the building. I also note what's on adjoining parcels and what they do when I walk around. Generally, to do what I do, which is write Phase 1 environmental site assessments, you would typically get some sort of science degree. Doesn't matter what type of degree you get, as long as you have a science background, particularly a bachelor's, let's say, in environmental science or environmental policy, or even chemistry or geology, or such as what I've done, going through and getting a history degree. And the general trend in today's society is that historians and even archaeologists have more of that knack and that eye for detail, and they know where the historic resources are. So employers in this field are starting to really identify that and hire people like myself. And I've seen archaeologists, I've seen historic preservationists writing Phase 1s in the midst and in the middle of all these scientists. The best part of my job is getting to research so many types of historical documents, between the maps and the aerial photographs, Sanborn fire insurance maps, city directories, that's all my favorite part of the job, and getting to interview people. I love to do that. Worst part of the job is having to deal with the weather. If you go do a field inspection and it's a building full of mold, that's not so fun. If you have to go and walk around in a field full of poison ivy or have to deal with snakes in a wetlands area, that's not so fun. If you'd like to go into a field like this, things you might consider participating in before and during your coursework would include volunteer hours somewhere like a local historical society and archives, just so you can get the feel of the resources and to see what's available to the entire community. You may want to look into internships. If you have a summer off and you don't have anything to do because you didn't want to take courses, consider an internship and try and get credit for it. You might get paid, you might get paid for it. You never know. That will also introduce you to various types of people that could ultimately give you a job in the future. But more importantly, it gives you those skill sets that you will need as you go throughout your coursework and then later on into your profession. If I was going to take any additional classes for this type of field, I would consider environmental policy classes, maybe a project management course, classes that teach you about grant writing or technical writing, because that's what in the environmental field, all your writing is technical, and that's something important that you need to be able to do.